I'm happy to be here today because of that, to talk about a few things that are vital to this region and the state as a whole: broadband access, as I said, tourism, and entrepreneurship. I'm also happy to have with us two people whose endeavors stand squarely at the intersection of those topics. So without further ado, please welcome Eric Hubbard of Backroads of Appalachia, and to my left, Scott Smith from First Frontier.
Thank you.
So I will start out by just asking the two of you to introduce yourselves, to tell us a little bit more about your organizations and what they do. Let's start with Eric.
Well, my name's Eric Hubbard. You might have heard of me a time or two, good or bad, in my younger days. But bottom line, I had a need, a passion for some change for my people of Eastern Kentucky. And we came up with an ideal years ago, and took us forever to figure out how to connect it and do it correctly before we launched our nonprofit called Backroads of Appalachia. Backroads of Appalachia is a 501c3 that's SAM's, DUNS, and BAR, and also CAGE certified to compete for federal, state, foundational funds to grow our region in the tourism aspect of things that I like to do. We have three key components. Economic development through motorsports is always my number one prime goal. We also have a workforce transition program that we partner with Addiction Recovery Care upon. EKSET. We want to give people the opportunity to learn about their area, learn about their region, but most importantly, public speak and take pride back of who they are and where they're from so they can go contribute back to society. And thirdly, some of you might be some business owners here. My whole purpose is to send as much money as possible in the forms of something that has gas either under it or between you to spend their money in your community and your business. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott.
My name is Scott Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the First Frontier Appalachian Trails. We are an organization that is currently in the process of constructing or adopting trails that encompass 18 counties throughout the eastern portion of the state. Much like Eric said, this is an economic development project. The bottom line is we want to see all of our local communities thrive. We feel that this is a very important part of helping them rebuild their economies. And also, like Eric said, this is something that I love to do. I've been an avid rider most of my life since I've been able to do that. And it's just, it's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm going to do my very best to make sure that we succeed in this endeavor.
Great, Scott. We'll stay with you to start our conversation. As you mentioned, tourism is an economic development driver for Kentucky and Appalachia. Adventure tourism, if you want to call it that, is seen as a big opportunity. You both represent some of those more forward-looking entrepreneurial sort of approaches to that. Wanted you to talk a little bit about sort of the overall landscape for tourism in this part of the state, and really how that relates to entrepreneurship as an opportunity.
Well, I think it directly ties into the project that we're currently working on. You can see we often use the Hatfield-McCoys as an example. They've done very well over there. There's absolutely no reason we can't do the same thing or surpass what they've done. The tie-ins are all there. It just creates so many opportunities for people to become entrepreneurs. The business opportunities are just, they're numerous as to what people can do. You see campgrounds spring up, B&Bs, anything that's suitable for lodging, people will latch onto that and turn it into something that can be used for that. Grocery stores, gas stations, it's just, they're limitless really as to what can be done, and this will contribute to driving all that.
What about you, Eric? Talk a little bit about how entrepreneurship plays a role in tourism.
Well, entrepreneurship just don't play a role in tourism. It plays a role into rediversifying and changing our Eastern Kentucky people to drive people back to our part of the region, our census. But, to tie all this in, what we do with this is that we bring people in to make them fall in love with our territory, our roads, but most importantly, our people. I've been told many times that the people of Eastern Kentucky, the proud Appalachians, not Appalachians as some people call it, the nicest people on the planet. And to me, that is the number one selling point. But back to entrepreneurship. Besides the little, talk about it, we've done it. We're proud to say now that we have 37 new businesses open on one trail alone. And that's the Dragon Slayer Highway 160. It connects Big Stone Gap, Appalachia, Virginia, to Lynch, Benham, and Cumberland, Kentucky. The economic proof is in the pudding. When you have business growing, and the reason why they're growing is because of the increase of traffic. Big Stone Gap has done amazing with this traffic, and the rest of the area is starting to catch up to them. But, there's opportunity after opportunity for entrepreneurs, not just in tourism, not just in the normal Airbnbs or a restaurant. What we bring in is people with wealth, people with money. And we talk to them about our credits, our opportunity zone, historic tax credits, workforce development credits. I want that business owner to understand that he can branch out to Eastern Kentucky and that he can make a living and a profit, better profit than he is wherever he's from in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Pennsylvania, Ohio. We really, thanks to economic development and our legislators, have really upped the ante when it comes to businesses and driving businesses to here to change our diversity for economics.
Thank you for that, and we'll sort of stay on something that you mentioned. You were kind of started off talking about the people that this provides opportunity to, and obviously we mentioned that tourism can be an economic driver. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more and with some specificity to your business about some of those workforce opportunities that this creates for people in the area to get involved with the new business generation that this provides.
Well, not just workforce, volunteers too. The one thing in tourism and coming in, us or Scott and his organization, you got to have community buy-in. If you don't have the community backing what your ideal is, your vision is, you're not going to be successful because community controls our leaders and our government. So what we do with that is that we try to create events around our community. Please bring your children out. Let's give our kids something to do. As a young man growing up in Letcher County, Kentucky, we had a lot going on for us. Coal was booming. There was stores open. There was things to do. There were activities. And where I'm from in Neola, Kentucky, which, by the way, the only little store we had shut down now. And we now have a general store, but for a long time it wasn't there. There was nothing to even go shop for. You had to go 45 minutes either way to go to the grocery store. That kind of atmosphere and ideal. But this gives people the opportunity, to bring that community buy-in, to start diversifying, for them to get a vision, an ideal, which says, I can make money with this ideal, and that creates an entrepreneur spirit at the beginning. And with all the tools, thanks to people like SOAR, Kentucky Innovations, the small SBDC and everybody else, there's just so many tools and reference points for anyone to become an entrepreneur now in Eastern Kentucky. It's mind-blowing. And I'm your prime example. Growing up, when I was in high school, I had two options. Be a coal miner or get the heck out. That was my two options, So for us to start creating in our youth an opportunity, we want you to stay here. We want you to be successful. And this is where broadband ties into because of our era of today. I don't know if anyone is aware, but do you know that Eastern Kentucky has the fastest broadband internet anywhere in the United States of America? Does anybody know that? We're beating Los Angeles, guys. That should make you excited about that, And now we got to diversify with tourism and other entities to take care of that, protect that, and grow that.
I'd like to sort of seize on that opportunity to transition into talking about broadband. It's a big theme of this conference. I'm not sure if you're aware, but last week was Digital Inclusion Week. People are talking a lot about the barriers that breaks down. And Scott, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how broadband is kind of currently being leveraged by your business, the opportunity that you see for other tourism-related businesses and just businesses in general to take advantage of that.
Well, it's a little bit backwards, I guess, to say it's the wave of the future. Everyone's been kind of far ahead of us on that, but it's very essential in everyone's business today. It's used primarily for advertising, and as prevalent as social media is in the world, whether you like it or not, it's there, and it's something that has to be leveraged to use for a purpose. And just for instance, we had an exhibit over in the exhibit hall, and we put together a virtual reality a virtual reality ATV ride. So, that wouldn't have been possible without that kind of technology. It was pretty neat to be able to do that. I loved seeing everyone's responses to sitting down and being there in the hills of Leslie County. So, but it's very important in everyone's business and in every aspect of life today. There are times when I wonder if that's good or bad, if that we rely so heavily on that. But it is here, and we have to use it to our advantage.
How about you, Eric? How would you say, I guess, for your business or your organization, how are you leveraging broadband? What do you see as maybe some of the opportunities going
We
forward?
wouldn't have been in a 5-year period from an ideal to bringing in over $13 million of economic machinery without broadband internet. Technology is here. We're going to utilize it. We're going to benefit from it. For us, broadband, thanks to the USDA, is your prime example for us. They believed in us enough to give us a grant to create a mobile application. I don't know if anyone has seen that. Has anyone seen that? Raise your hand if you got it or seen it. That mobile application is a prime thing, a prime suspect, a prime giver, prime taker, however you want to look at it. But it is now diversifying our economy through tourism. It gives turn-by-turn navigation. Real quick, for tourism, since this is what it's about, what makes you as a community successful, ready to go as a tourism entity? Does anybody know? I'm not talking about trail town, destination, or nothing like that. Can you repeat after me? I've said it before if someone's heard it. Heads to beds, say it after me. Food to mouth, lips to sit. If you got them 3 components in your community, you're already ready to go and rock and roll and diversify yourself as a tourism destination. The USDA mobile app that they help us contribute to and make, it features turn-by-turn navigation that goes over 4,000 miles of our region, not just Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, and Tennessee. I build a funnel, I build a schematic. We're helping the other states, but where do they all land? Eastern Kentucky, But that app, besides the turn-by-turn navigation, we're getting them up in the mountains. On our back roads, our beautiful, curvy, God-given roads that no one in this country can replace or even mimic or gimmick, but what we have to offer thanks to our descents of our Irish community that developed them. But we get them in the roads, we get them tired, thirsty, and hungry. That's the whole key. Get them up there, get them where they're ready to come to, land in a little community or a town or anywhere else. And we want them to stop and spend their money. While they're there spending their money, if their wife or girlfriend's at the house, they're going to buy that gift at that local gift store because they're going to try to bring something home so they don't get in trouble for being gone for so long because they're supposed to have been back yesterday. Trust me, I've been there many times, so I understand. But, the mobile application with the downloads is amazing. What I need from you as a community is that if you look at that app and one of our trails that your community's in, if you don't see a business on there, you can go to the resources of that mobile application. You can put in your information where we will add that to the mobile application for you. That way people knows what, they don't know what's there unless it's on that. The downloads has been very amazing. blessed through the state of Kentucky for an operation budget right now. We sent 4 people to Panama City, Florida. They're at Thunder Beach right now. We had 1,132 downloads yesterday from Florida. That's not people from here, that's people from out of the area now looking to come where? That 1,132 people comes here, that's $265 a day the average person spends with her in our community. And with our economic impact study, we now have them stay in Eastern Kentucky 2.5 days per visit. It used to be a day. So now, in a 5-year period, we've gained a day and a half. Think of the economic revenue that's coming to all of our communities, because we just don't promote one town, we promote a region. I want to give them options. People talk about the tail of the dragon. Anybody heard of that? Wonderful road. We got them beat. Here's why. We're not focused on one road. I don't want 20,000 people on one road trying to push themselves and cause accidents and deaths and things of that nature. How we design this is kind of like the trail system. We want them to diversify and spread out. Same amount of traffic, even actually more traffic than one road can handle, but it's spreading the wealth. It's also the safety aspect. We want people to enjoy and be safe because our communities still participate on these roads. Good enough? Sorry, Mr. David.
No, that is perfect. Thank you. I'm curious if you said you had a team or a group go down to Panama City, and that has led directly to people downloading content. What are they doing? What are, I guess, sort of the marketing or tactics that you're using to try to draw people in?
Well, believe it or not, it's all men. So, usually you go to these motorcycle rallies. I don't know if anybody has been. They're risque, I guess you could say, and a lot of the marketing strategy is the fair sex and showing a lot of extra skin and things of that nature. The beautiful thing about Backroads of Appalachia, we never have to promote that. We're promoting a road and a destination. We're not trying to promote a gimmick. We don't need a gimmick. We have you. We have their communities that our forefathers and our government has built. So, but what we do, we have partnered with Indian Motorcycle. Indian Motorcycle has gave us permission to be right on their booth with them. And we are just, when they come up and talk to Indian Motorcycle, they're right beside of us. Indian Motorcycle leads them to us. We lead the people to Indian Motorcycle down there. And it's all about partnership in life, and that's like where we partner with any community, any organization, whatever we can do, because you're stronger together. It's not a competition. We're competing against the other regions. We don't need to fight with each other. This ain't high school. I'm not a bulldog and he's not a bear, except he kind of looks like a bear, but anyway. But, I take pride in one thing real quick and I'll shut up. We have a young man by the name of Derek. Derek got some bad luck in life as a young man in drug court, in trouble. He's still in drug court. He's got to leave work to go do his drug tests and, go to his court hearings and all that. But Derek has done such an exceptional job. He's took over social media, which takes the weight off of me for me to focus on other things. He has grown our social media, I think, in the past month, 37,000 new people that likes one of our pages. And he starts bringing in the history of, not just the trail, but he's bringing in the history of our culture, of our people. And, I don't have that capacity. That's not who I am to do that. So for him to do that. But long story, I want to take Derek to Florida. Derek, of course, is on probation. I talked to the judge. I said, Judge, this is a bike rally, but I think Derek has proven himself with us enough that Derek can go to the beach and represent Backroads of Appalachia and get people to download our mobile application, which is going to benefit your county and our region. He gave permission for a young man on probation for heavy drug charges that's turned his life around to go with a bunch of guys to Panama City, Florida right now. And you think he's up there lollygagging, or you think he's promoting the hell out of Backroads of Appalachia? Motivation is what we look for. And that young man is a prime star of a workforce development, a person, what they can become. Is that all right, David?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm a Free Will Baptist preacher's son, so I can go.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges. You mentioned that the broadband speed in certain areas here is faster than Los Angeles, other parts of the country, but we know that there are still some barriers to getting broadband to everyone in Kentucky and this part of the state in particular. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the challenges that you see and what can be done in your mind to overcome them. What can we do to get past some of those?
You may go first?
We'll start with Scott
Okay.
and then let you clean it up.
Well, I think you touched on it right there. The number one challenge is always going to be accessibility in our very rural areas. And we do have lots of locations, as Eric pointed out, where we have great high-speed access. I think of all places, I think Owsley County, for instance, I think they have really good broadband internet over there, and that's created a lot of high-paying jobs over there as well. So access is always going to be the number one issue, in my opinion, and I think it's a matter of lobbying with the right people to try to make sure that it's available to everyone. And something else that I always like to throw in is the affordability aspect of it as well. It has to be something that people can get once it's available to them.
Transient tax, that's where I'll start. If our communities and our counties all come on together with a transient tax, this is a way to leverage for a match program to help with our access. If you're driving traffic, which increases tax for a community for infrastructure, this amount of influx of capital now coming in can be utilized as a leverage point to our lobbying and our government to do a match program instead of all the time, no disrespect to no one in here, and myself included, having our hand out for everything. Sooner or later, we're going to have to start taking a little bit of ownership for our actions as communities. And, if we bring traffic as far as an aspect or ATVs or whatever nature, that could help for a match program with other resources to get broadband put in quicker. And that's my take on it.
I'll stay with you, Eric. There are obviously infrastructure issues there to getting the access and making the connections to bring broadband in. Is there anything that you think that needs to be done or we should be doing to prepare communities for when there is broader access? Absolutely
With that. Training, we have training facilities everywhere. Offer training facilities now if they're for, in a regional approach, a monthly training, whatever, for not just broadband. It's not about them hooking up broadband, but how to utilize broadband. Even if it's working from home at, one of our programs where now you can, who would ever thought that you can make $70,000 a year in your pajamas, But that is the wave, though, and that's the wave of our people, and it's the way to keep our people here, is the training. Go ahead if that community don't have that broadband access yet, and we know it's coming. Let's start a training program up to get them up to speed on how to use, and I'm the world's worst, how to use the new Microsoft Windows or the new Mac. To teach them the skill sets where they can be successful utilizing this, not just give them the internet and say, figure it out. Because what I see with broadband internet, our cell phones, 5G, all of that, we have the capacity, something our forefathers never had. If I need to know how to do an open heart surgery, I'm sure I can find it. But what are we doing with it? We watch cats on TikTok. Think about that for a second. We have the knowledge in our hand of all of man, and that's what we focus upon. So if we could start teaching and training our people to be ready for the brunt of that, to be successful, where they can make that higher paying job, with just a little help and coaching, and training seminars, videos, YouTube, whatever it takes. We have this now tool that puts us in there. And I actually had I seen a study recently, and I'll be quiet. Do you know as customer service for any kind of amenity, that the Southern Appalachian area is the #1 as far as rating for customer service right now? If you call and you're mad and frustrated because your dishwasher's not working right or you're missing a part in it, if you talk to someone that's a little hateful back to you, does that make your relationship better? Are you going to do that if you stay for a brief survey? Are you going to fill that out? But that person, if they're nice to you and they talk to you and they walk you through the steps in the process, I'm going to stay on that line and give them a good rating. So that's being proven now, is they're actually doing in customer service a geographic area study of where they get better ratings for customer service, because that's their brand, that's their image. They want you, even though you had a problem, they want you to continue to buy that brand. So I think that was a very interesting little piece of literature I read.
Scott, what about you? Anything that you are focused on beyond basic infrastructure in terms of seizing on opportunities for what to do when there's more connectivity for broadband?
Excuse me, I'm choked here. Actually, Eric kind of stole my thunder there.
We talked about on the way up.
Sorry. Yeah, we went over everything when we were coming. Goodness. But no, training and education, those were the exact two things that I was thinking of when you brought that question up. Just like you said, it's essential to be able to know what to do once you have the access to, you have the world at your fingertips. So those, in my opinion, those are two main things.
Sure. Let's keep looking forward then. Stay with you, Scott. Unless you need a second, we can.
I'll give you the Hamlet.
Let's take a second to just set vision for the future and talk about what it could look like with full or close to full connectivity in this part of the state. What does Eastern Kentucky look like, and how will expanded broadband access allow tourism-related businesses or businesses in general to grow in the future?
Why don't you go ahead, Eric? Let me recover here. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. We have the process, the people, but most importantly, as Appalachian code descendants, we have the work ethic. It's just about motivating and getting us back to that opportunity. I think work ethic is the #1 part when it comes to your question. I think that what we can become, yesterday I had a gentleman from Indianapolis, Indiana. I took him up to Raven Rock Golf Course. Anyone ever been there? So Jenkins, Kentucky, on the way, we was filming yesterday, was blessed to film yesterday. But we went on top of the golf course, which used to be it's an abandoned strip job. $500,000, $800,000 houses up there now. A golf course, a country club. Without broadband and high-speed internet, them people are not going to move there. They're not going to be part of that culture. They can check their stock market while they're on the 7th hole, and see what they're doing. So I really see the broadband and, what we have to offer as far as not just a business aspect, but a leisure aspect. It's going to be crucial for growth. And I honestly believe this because I was one that just relocated from Tennessee that I lived for 22 years at. I moved back to Kentucky. I moved back to Jackson County because I believe that we are getting ready to put it in overdrive as a region, thanks to ARC, AML, USDA, partners, counties working together, regionalism aspects versus football team aspect. I really think that Eastern Kentucky is getting ready to change its gears and really become a driving force on different kind of economies. Look at App Harvest as a prime example of that. They could have put that anywhere. They chose Eastern Kentucky, so it's exciting times to be around and exciting times to see an ATV trail system that's going to be, sorry Jeff Lusk if he is watching this, and Hatfield McCoy, I really believe what we have to offer because of our people. Our communities are more developed. We're ahead of the game versus where they were. that is going to be a driving force in another segment of power sports and motorsports is the ATV trail system, which is going to diversify. It's going to bring people in. We just don't want their bologna sandwich and, them buy a bologna sandwich or a bag of chips. We want them to set up roots here. We want them to buy that second home or relocate here and say, I can make a living here. It's not crowded. People are great. The fall's beautiful. Winter's not the best, but it is what it is with that. No, I'm joking. But we have the opportunity, though, to start bringing and recapturing people into Eastern Kentucky instead of the old tale, get out of here, So, thank you.
Of course. Scott, what about you? What is the future with full connectivity, or at least a much broader connectivity look like?
But I think that's
Tourism.
a great point. We want our next generation, our youth, we want them to want to stay here, and we want them to come back, the ones that have possibly left. I have an 18-year-old daughter that's in high school, and it honestly pains me every day to think about the possibility of her leaving and not living near me once she's out of college. But I see as a region, I see a region that will flourish. I mean, just due to the impact of if there is full connectivity, what that can do for everyone. I think it'll be a success story for our region if that ever happens, and hopefully it does. I think it can really make people's way of lives better, just the way they feel about where they live. They can be proud of where they're from, which most of our people are proud of where they're from, and I am as well. But it'd be really nice to see that happen and see people not have to leave for jobs and things of that nature. There was a time when I had to do it, and the whole time I was away, the only thing I wanted to do was come home. So that I really hope that our next generation of kids, I hope they never have to deal with that.
Sure.
Real quick, can I
Go ahead.
dive in one more thing?
Absolutely.
Anybody ever heard of Rover, the new Rover, what people are into? Our youth or younger people are digital entrepreneurs. They buy these Mercedes-Benz vans, Ford old ambulances, and they convert them into houses, and they travel around and set up, and they get tired, they move to the next spot. Huge market in that right now. It's real big out west. Coming a lot into the Asheville, North Carolina area now as well. We can set up Rover communities. These guys are bloggers on social media, YouTube, all that. They also, stalk, whatever. But they choose to live that free lifestyle. With broadband internet and the right kind of connection to that, we can make that a huge part of our segment and market, not just to one community, but to 54 counties. So Rovers, if you don't know nothing about it, check them out. Work with us. Let's figure out a strategy on how to attract them to get them to set up shop here for 3 to 4 months, let them live in Eastern Kentucky. They'll have mail. They can register while they're here. So.
Thank you, Scott. We've talked a lot about how the broadband can be leveraged to bring people in, kind of shrinks the world, allows you to reach people and attract them. There are people here, I think, probably in the audience who are not from Eastern Kentucky and not as familiar with the territory and the wonderful things that you all are trying to extol and get people to pay attention to. Here's an opportunity, I guess, for you to talk about what makes Eastern Kentucky special as a tourism destination. You can focus, specifically on sort of your work, but why would you tell people that they need to take a look at this part of the country to come to?
Well, for me, I'm extremely proud to be from Eastern Kentucky and from Leslie County. I know Eric's very proud of his roots as well. We're just two country boys hoping to try to do something pretty good for the region. I really think that it just all falls back to me. A lot of the things Eric has said as well, the people, and I always lay on the beautiful geography as well. And for us doing what we're doing, our particular project, that just makes it makes our job very easy to take these people out in the mountains where there are trails there. And this is a prime time right now, probably for the next very short period of time, but right now is the best time to be out there. it's just a beautiful place to be. Like I said, the time that I spent away, I lived in Cincinnati for 3 years, and I just wanted to come home. I came home every weekend I could. It's always going to be home to me. I don't ever see myself leaving unless it's absolutely necessary and out of my control. But I just really love it here, and I hope everyone else sees this area the way I do.
Eric, what about you? And maybe just what do you think? You mentioned the broadband, comparability to Los Angeles. What is there something that people might not know, maybe hidden secret of the region that you would want them to know?
We do have plenty of Appalachians secrets that needs to come out, but
Positive ones.
positive. I mean, there is so much positivity, with that. But that's kind of our slogan: is Appalachia's best kept secret is one of our trails. But the history and heritage, and prime example of that. Has anyone ever heard of the old pony teachers and librarians that deliver books to children? I never knew nothing about this. It's actually Little Shepherd's Trail. A lot of that was utilized up there in Letcher County and Harlan County. We shared that on social media. Our social media is pretty large. We, of course, take advantage of technology. That has been shared over 87,000 times in 4 days. People are hungry for that. Little House of the Prairie kind of feel, because in today's modern world, which, we actually had a conversation about me in San Diego to some people. It's a different critter, People want Mayberry. People crave Mayberry. The blue collar, hardworking Americans, white collar, whatever. Everybody wants that feel, but they also want that accessibility to go feel like they can spend their money in their communities and have things to do. With the connectivity, real quick, I want to throw in one special thing. We're getting ready to make history in November 11th in Lawrence County, Kentucky. Hi, Lawrence County, by the way. We're doing a gravel rally car race up there. But the most important thing about that, besides economic development to Lawrence County and Louisa and that area, is that with Addiction Recovery Care, we have partnered up with them in EKSEP. 24 people that's in the program is going to not just volunteer to hold a flag and say go and stop. They're going to be in charge of safety, time trial, and the responsibility of handling and maintaining a race. That is, when it comes to economic development for what we do, we always have two key factors of a problem, and that's not just in Eastern Kentucky, that's United States wide. Equipment and volunteers. People don't want to volunteer no more, right? You have at City Pikeville, I'm sure, yes or no. It's hard to get volunteers. So to bring in people in transition is a key component. We tried this briefly with another organization, and it went full effect. To get these people outside of their home, because on the weekends they look inside walls, they're not doing nothing. To bring them outside and hang out with people with a little bit of influence that might have lived their life at a time or two, that can talk about racing a vehicle and, the sponsorships and all of that comes with that. I think it's life-changing for these people, but that's going to breed a spirit, just like with our children. They sit in a Ferrari now, and when we come to Pikeville or wherever, one thing that I see true and true every time is that these owners of these cars, they let the kids sit, play with it, blow the horn, whatever, but they tell the kid when they're there. And this is kind of my motto when I was a boy, because I had a picture of a Ferrari. I drive a Kia, so I never got to my full potential, but it is what it is.
Too big for a Ferrari.
I can fit in a Ferrari, thank you. A Porsche, I have a little trouble. But when they have this young man or young girl in that car, and, this is what they see, this is what kids always seen, is that lifestyle. They don't tell them, hey, go rip off somebody or rob a bank to buy this. They say work hard, go to school, listen to your parents, and you might one day have something like this yourself. That is a spark. If it's 1 out of 10,000 kids, that's a spark for them to drive them to accomplish that, and hopefully they'll accomplish that utilizing Eastern Kentucky as their driving force to be able to afford that car.
You mentioned upcoming race. We're getting close to the end here. Want to allow a little bit of time for questions, but talk about how people can support your project. You mentioned volunteers, but how can people get involved? How can they find you?
Well, you can download, you can go to our website. It's getting retweaked right now, so it's not the prime one. We are completely redoing our website so communicate with our mobile app. But backroadsofappalachia.org, social media. We have 37 Facebook pages. We encourage, if each trail of our mobile application and trails, I encourage, our local tourism, local volunteers that's interested in this, we will add them to our Facebook page. I want them to take the responsibility of promoting their town, their area, versus that. The page is there. Let's go to work with it. And also our mobile application, you can download it on Apple or iOS, I guess is the term, and Google Play. And all of our resources are there as well, including our events, which I think is a key component, and I'll be quiet after that. Thanks to Lawrence County for the fiscal court approving this race. This will make our 84th event of the year. Next year, we already scheduled for 2023 of events. We have 37 already scheduled for 2023. So it's not me now begging and knocking on doors to get people to come to Eastern Kentucky. They're calling me in September and October already wanting to book their stay. Where do I stay? Where do I go? And that shows that this is working in that atmosphere to bring people driving themselves in traffic instead of us marketing for traffic. So, thank you.
Thank you. Scott, what do you all have in the works right now? How can people find you? Short-term, long-term plans you want to tell people about?
Sure. We're still a little bit more, not quite as far along as the things that Eric's talking about right now. But we're focused right now on really acquiring landowner agreements. What I would like for people to know is just know who we are. The awareness that we're out there and what we're doing is very important. You really don't want to just cold call on people knocking on their door. That doesn't always go over real well. But if they've heard something about you along the way, maybe they might be a little more inviting and a little more, apt to listen to what you have to say. So those are the things for us right now. We're really zoned in and focused on working with landowners. We had our first private landowners sign on in Johnson County just a couple weeks ago. That was really a big deal for us to get that done. We've signed agreements with several counties. Things are moving. They're not moving quite as fast as we would like for them to, because you want to see progress immediately. But the project that we're working on just doesn't lend itself to moving that quickly in that large territory. So, maybe spread the word, let everyone know what we're doing, and we'd like to hear from anybody.
Can people find you online, website?
We do have a Facebook page. We have a website that construction will be final on that by the end of November. People are free to email or call me at my office anytime.
Got it. Any parting thoughts from either of you before we open it up for Q&A?
I would like to, one more, because I like to talk. No, not seriously. But, I've been watching what Scott and First Frontier has been doing for many moons now. I've been following it from the baby steps of legislation to now. And it's amazing how the man upstairs works. Jackson County, Kentucky, where the bluegrass blends with the mountains. Prime example. We, of course, with the county fiscal court, we have acquired a Civil War hospital that we're going to convert first into a welcome center, now into a general store. We're going to use workforce development people to run and maintain this and operate, but it's 7 acres of land. Community events on a constant basis. But Jackson County so happens to be a trail system that's already approved to ride ATVs all over the place. Is that correct? The entire county? Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't want to shoot myself. But these guys need people to sell permits, right? When they come in to buy their permit to ride on their land, you buy a permit. It's also a waiver thing and all that good stuff because, it's all about insurance and law. I talked to Scott and I talked, about opportunity there. We want to sell for them their permits for them at our welcome center right on the Jackson County line. They can pull in, they can purchase their ATV permit, but we don't want to charge for that to do that. That's partnership, is let us sell your permit, because that's going to drive traffic to my general store. They're going to want to buy a bologna sandwich or a trinket or a Kentucky Pride thing, which is helping our local community out. If we're buying locally and supporting locally, at the same time, they're going to go on a four-wheeler ride or ATV or UTV ride or a dirt bike ride and, stay in a local Airbnb or a hotel in this area. But, Jackson County is really a gateway concept to all of Eastern Kentucky off of I-75. So it makes perfect sense to work together on that. So high five.
Yes.
Partnership.
Yes.
And go from there. And that's my final talk.
Well, I'll throw in one more, and I don't like to talk a lot, but I'm going to anyway.
You're doing great.
But yeah, this is this is the kind of partnership that we all need to succeed and grow. And I look forward to us having a long one with Eric, and hopefully we can grow as we move forward.
Concur.
Thank you both so much. We will open it up now. I think that we can hear anybody that has a question up here. If anybody has a question for our panelists.
If somebody was gonna want to do a business, what would you guys recommend for a young entrepreneur or community? What should they focus on to make both trails more attractive to try to spread the wealth? Any suggestions?
One thing, thank you, Chuck, by the way. One thing that I see, and no disrespect, because I'm around Harlan County a lot and the ATV trail system, and also I spend a lot of time in West Virginia, Hatfield, McCoy. When people buy their groceries with their RV or their camper and they pull their side by side, do you think they're going to stop and try to find that grocery store locally? Or are they going to buy it from their Walmart and bring it down? What if we have an entrepreneur program for our youth? Not saying if they're a youth, they can't buy the beer. But what if we can have arrangements with RV parks of that nature? What do you want for your stay? And utilize an entrepreneur or a young entrepreneur, maybe for college, maybe for scholarships, who knows, however we want to do it. Kind of like we're the Appalachian Grub Hub, but we're setting up that kind of entrepreneurship to our youth to be able to develop and bring and make sure they have the snacks and goods that's bought locally instead of them bringing it from Ohio. Because we don't want them to buy their stuff in Ohio. Where we want them to buy that? 3 key components. What are they?
Head to bed.
Food to mouth, lips to sip, right?
Sip, yes.
So that's my entrepreneur's thing. Breweries, I would say distilleries, but distilleries is so expensive over taxes and federal government. I do a lot of research on that. Breweries for someone as well. Breweries is a wonderful economic driver. Harlan County Brew Company, Jeff Marietta over in Harlan County is your prime example of that. Restaurant tied in with craft beer. That's a driver. That's kind of, if you look at my stature and figure, I do like craft beer. So that's what I look for though when I go on a place. But I really think that can be established. I know we have Broken Thrones here in Pikeville. We have Harlan County Brew Company now and multiple other ones throughout. But that's something that can be diversified, that don't take a lot of startup money, don't take a lot of knowledge and know-how. It's something that can be implemented that can also be a community engagement kind of feel.
Scott, those are some fully formed business ideas. You're going to be busy if nobody else.
That was very good. The delivery was very good. And I know people, it's probably cliched a bit at this point, but campgrounds are huge. Eric mentioned campground right off the bat. I know people might think that is becoming a bit saturated at this point, but as someone that my family and we camp every weekend, we have an opportunity through the summer. It's not. If there is a good campground, it is going to stay booked up the majority of the time. Out here at Natural Bridge down there, we tried, I think we were able to go there one time this summer, and we used to be able to go there 3 or 4 times a summer. That market is still
Huge.
huge, very available.
Real quick on that, can I ask a question that maybe someone might be able to answer here in this audience? Campgrounds, why are we not charging a tax for a county, a transient tax for people to stay at these campgrounds?
It starts in January.
So it does start in January? Because that was one of my big questions is we have all this opportunity, and I know some people don't like that word tax, but you know, that tax is infrastructure. But that tax is also at 3% tax increase or whatever it's going to be off of the bottom line. All the owner's got to do is raise his rate 3%. You're still cheaper in Tennessee. You're going to win the war. You know, so sorry, I just had that question about our campgrounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for our panel?
I've got a couple. So have you had the opportunity to connect with some of these broadband companies, and have you had the opportunity to hammer out a full-on plan to provide broadband throughout the entire trail or a good section of it? Because that was something I've been kind of keeping an eye out this week on is a lot of people like to, what they call cherry pick locations. This new funding coming from the state of the government is going to be over $700 million.
Yep.
Have you hammered out anything, or have you partnered with anybody yet to find something out?
We work, I work with, I'm not going to say which broadbands that I work with, but you know, we believe, of course, as the United States, God bless us, I'm a veteran, I can say this, we believe in capitalism, right? The only problem with capitalism sometimes is everybody wants to fight for the same piece of pie. So to figure out an overall, have someone oversee and somehow work together with all the broadband entities to make it a project complete instead of one county picks this or one community picks this brand, you know, I think that an overseer of a head to coordinate all that, and not just the coordination, but the accountability. That's where, with all this money that I see all the time, where's accountability? How do we know who's doing what and what project? Because, you know, it's one person with this one group, and they might be faster and get done 2 years sooner than this company that just came out of nowhere. No disrespect, somebody's brother-in-law, you know. But I think an overseer is what I would like to see. But again, who am I with that?
That's a very easy answer for me. Actually, we have not. There are some ideas that I've had floating around, but we have not actually got to that point yet. We do not have a complete trail that's ready for use yet. We have some kind of bits and pieces here and there, and when we put some together, then we'll be moving on to that issue.
I have one final question for Eric. I know you mentioned something about the rally car races that are coming up here soon. Have you ever tried getting in touch with some of the Red Bull circuit rally car races like Ken Block, all of those big names?
Well, I'm glad you said that. 2 of our rally car racers is coming. It takes time to build to that. It also takes infrastructure. You know, the rally cars we're doing is not lower end, but more of the grassroots thing. You know, Pikeville is your prime example. These guys care about something called transient miles. They want to the rally, they want to put more miles racing than driving. These cars, they don't load them on a trailer and go to the next location. You know, we could house them, say Pikeville, Ashland, and all that, but the problem's going to be is the transient miles. But we do have Travis Pastrano, Rihanna. She is a co-driver. It comes up here. She's Travis Pastrano's co-driver for his rally race team. And also Ken Blocks is Rihanna's husband. He's also Ken Block. So we do have that exposure, and I'm not going to confirm or deny, but we've had some talks with our larger entities of the potential. But again, you know, you can't just say build your first aircraft carrier without building your first little tugboat. You know, you want to show an infrastructure and a way of doing things that we can handle the capacity that these other places has been doing for 30, 40 years.
All right, we probably have time for one more question. Anybody?
Mine's not really a question, it's more of a comment.
Sure.
We work with Eric and Preston for quite a bit, and You know, he's talking about heads and beds and food to mouth and all of that stuff and how much money it brings into a community. But I want to thank Eric because it even trickles down further than that. He brought in, it was a Ferrari or a Porsche group a couple weeks ago, and they ate at a new restaurant in Prestonsburg, the Loaded Goat, and there were musicians there playing. Like these people that use the ATV trails or the motorcycle trails, they have disposable income. Like these are toys, like they're not their main mode of transportation. So they have this disposable income to come in and they want to spend it. And the musicians, I talked to the musicians that played that night, and you know, the restaurant pays to be there, but they made almost $200 in tips for like an hour and a half that they were there eating. So, you know, we love our music here in Eastern Kentucky, and a lot of times these musicians don't get paid to play. But, you know, these musicians ended up with an extra, you know, $50 a piece to put in their pocket to take home that night to their families. So more or less, it's a thank you to you all, but if you're not supporting these kind of trails like you need to be, just because the people that are utilizing them have disposable income to spend, and they're going to fill the hotels, they're going to fill the campgrounds, the restaurants, and it all trickles down. They want to buy local, they want an immersive experience.
Yeah, I was one of those musicians actually.
Yeah, there you go.
They were real good to us.
Well, good. Hey, musician up there. You know, but real quick with that, there was a little girl there, 7 years of age. She actually, we brought back-to-back rally groups in on a Saturday back-to-back. Loaded Goat's a new business, struggling a little bit. Amazing concept. I love it in the post office. If you haven't ate there, go to the Prestonsburg to the Loaded Goat. I recommend it. But she has a daughter, cutest little thing you ever seen, 7-year-old little blonde hair, blue-eyed girl. And she served drinks, not alcohol. She served drinks to these rally guys. I think in the past 2 weekends she made over $400 in tips. You know, but again, that is what we want to do. We want to bring guys like that in with a spirited lifestyle. They want to come up here. They want to be spirited. They want people, people with their college education that wears their collar suit all week. They want to wear a T-shirt and show that Led Zeppelin tattoo they got in 1984 while they was in college or whatever. And we want them to do that because if they feel free, guess what they're going to do? They're going to be more free with their money. So we want them to live that atmosphere, but at the same time, we want to control them and make sure that they stay within our legal system and respect and all that stuff. And that's kind of another role that we take part of.
It's a great note to end on. Thank you all so much. Can I get a round of applause for our panelists? You guys have been great.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Very great moderator, by the way.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. If you do want to actually visit kyinnovation.com to learn more about our small business incentives and what we can do to help businesses in general, please do. But also check out both of our panelists and their organizations. Thank you all very much.
One more. Prestonsburg, Kentucky as well with the new bicycle trail. Anybody been to it, seen it? How easy would that be for any community to do just that with their school bus? Who would ever thought to cut a school bus in half and run through a bridge and people will come from around the country to take pictures with that? Appalachian ingenuity, people. That's what we need to focus on.
It's like the hot dog stand.
Go up, tell it on the mountain. Faith too strong, be left out in way of trying God.